So, good morning, everyone. And I wasn't quite sure who would be coming this morning, and thought there might be people who haven't had much experience with meditation, or maybe zero experience with meditation. So I thought to kind of go into it slowly and gradually. And then the meditation part will begin with a short meditation on the breath, just being aware of the breath coming in, going out for about 10 minutes. And we'll have a short break, and then I'll introduce a meditation on compassion, which is the main topic for today's talk. In fact, every time we have a Sharing the Dharma day, it's the theme of compassion, different aspects of compassion. So we'll do a meditation on compassion to try to get that feeling coming up in our mind, so we're more in touch with it. It's more of a real thing for us. So you can imagine the Buddha in the space in front, made of light, very radiant and very kind of beautiful looking, and also radiating compassion and love for all living beings. So that's one of the main qualities of a Buddha, is caring about us, each and every one of us, but also every other living being throughout the universe, and just being there, ready to help us whenever we do need help. And so try to imagine the Buddha there in front. You can continue to have that visualization for the remainder of the time that we're meditating and listening to the Dharma talk. Okay, so make yourselves as comfortable as you can. If you're sitting on the floor, cross-legged, then just have your legs arranged in whatever way is most comfortable and with as little pain as possible. And if you're sitting in a chair, try to sit up straight, keep your back straight, just have your feet flat on the floor. And just take a few moments to settle into your body and into the present moment. There may be thoughts in your mind about things you did earlier today before coming here. So let go of those thoughts, put those thoughts aside for now. And there may also be thoughts about what you're going to do later today, tonight, tomorrow, any time in the future. So put those thoughts aside as well. Give yourself a break from all these busy thoughts whizzing around in the mind. And just let your mind be right here in the present moment, present place. And just be aware of your breathing coming in and going out. That's a really good way of settling into the present, because our breath is happening in the present. It's not in the past or the future or some other place. It's right here. So by being aware of our breath coming in and going out, naturally our mind settles down in the present. But that doesn't mean thoughts will just suddenly cease and won't pop up in our mind anymore, because our mind just has the habit of thinking, or thoughts coming up involuntarily. So don't be surprised if thoughts do come up in your mind, but understand we do have a choice. When thoughts come up in our mind, we don't have to get all caught up in them, thinking them, following them, getting all wrapped up in our thoughts. That's probably what we do most of the time, but we don't have to do that. We can also just notice the thought and say, not now. I'm doing something else now, so I'll take care of you later. And then put it aside until later. And it's also helpful to think of thoughts as being like clouds in the sky. So clouds are not permanent parts of the sky. They're things that appear when there's certain conditions in the atmosphere, then clouds appear, but they're not always there. They move and change, and eventually they disappear. They go away. Thoughts are similar. They're not a permanent part of our mind. They arise or appear, and they move and they change, and eventually they're gone. They disappear. So thinking of thoughts being like clouds can help to not be so caught up in them, take them so seriously, and instead just notice them and then let them go. So try to keep your mind or your attention mainly focused on your breathing, being aware of the breath coming in and going out, coming in, going out, one breath after another. And if thoughts arise, and you might even get distracted by the thoughts and caught up in the thoughts, that's normal. It's hard to stop doing that. But once you realize that's happened, then let go of the thought, put it aside, and come back to the breath. Bring your awareness back to your breathing. If you find it difficult to stay focused on the breath, a helpful technique is to count your breaths. It can help your mind stay more focused on the breath. So one way of counting, if you haven't learned another way, is to count each breath as one. You say to yourself, breathing in and breathing out 1, breathing in, breathing out 2. And if you're new to meditation, just count up to 5 breaths, and then start again at 1. If you're more experienced, you can count up to 10 and start again at 1. So the counting gives our mind a bit more to do, and then it's less likely it'll get distracted by other things. So you can relax your concentration, relax your body. If you need to, you can change your sitting position. I just wanted to give a little explanation of the next part of the meditation before we begin. So it'll be a meditation on compassion. And this is a really important quality in Buddhist teachings and Buddhist practice. But it's there in all religious and spiritual traditions. So the way it's explained in Buddhism is the wish for others, but also for oneself, to not suffer, to be free of suffering. So compassion is a quality that we all have. It's something that naturally rises in our mind. For example, when we become aware of another person or another being who is in some kind of difficulty, they may be experiencing physical pain or discomfort or emotional pain, and we become aware of that, aware that they are suffering and they need help. And we feel touched, we feel moved, instead of just being indifferent, ignoring them, not caring. So we feel something in our heart, and we feel moved to do what we can to relieve their suffering. Even just have the wish. We may not be able to actually go there and do something to help that person or that being, but just to have the wish to do that. That's the meaning of compassion. So there are times in our life when we feel compassion for others, and there's also times when we are the recipient of other people's compassion, like when we ourselves are in need, if we are physically unwell or in pain or emotionally feeling, in distress somehow, and somebody else observes that, somebody else notices we need help, and they come and help us, or at least offer to help us. Okay, so we've probably all had the experience of both feeling compassion and feeling the compassion of others. I had an experience of this just this morning. I was down in Shanti Cabin, which is at the bottom of the garden, and I looked out the window and I saw 3 deer, a mother and 2 little ones. And they must have been quite young because they still had spots on their coats. And the little ones looked scared. Maybe they heard me making a noise, or maybe they saw me out through the window. And they were like trying to run away. And then, they stopped and turned and looked back at Mom as if to say, "Come on, Mom, we got to get out of here. This place is scary and dangerous." And the mother was just standing there eating grass. So she's probably been around long enough to know that we are not a threat to her. And in fact, we even put out food for the deer. So she probably knows there's nothing to be scared of. But the little ones were too young to know that. And my heart went out to them. I just felt, oh, don't be scared. I'm not going to hurt you. We're not going to hurt you. We care about you. We do nothing to harm you. We only want to help you. So that's the feeling of compassion. That's an example of that. So we all do feel it sometimes. It's a natural quality that we have. And then in Buddhism, we try to grow our compassion, to nurture it, cultivate it. So we have it more and more for more people, more beings, and just more present in our life. And that's definitely possible to do. So that's why we do meditation on compassion, to make our minds more familiar with that feeling, that state of mind. So it is more of a natural presence in our life. And why should we do this? It's good to know that, because that'll give us more enthusiasm. I mean, it's a very important quality in the spiritual path. So those of us who want to follow the Buddhist path, it is an essential component. So we do need to develop it. But there's been scientific research over the last, 5 or 10 years, and they've found that there's, definite benefits to compassion. So they've done experiments on compassion and found that it has physical benefits as well as emotional and social benefits. So, for example, it relieves stress, decreases stress, and stress is a cause of a lot of physical illness. So when we have less stress, we'll be healthier and live longer. It enables us to feel more connected with other people, and that way we have less loneliness. Loneliness is a big problem these days, and that also has effects on our health. People who are more lonely have shorter lives and more physical problems. So it's really good for us, good for our health, to be more connected with other people. And another benefit is that if we act with kindness and compassion, we do acts of kindness, other people who observe that will be inspired to do acts of kindness as well. Yeah. So they say kindness is contagious. And so then we do one act of kindness, and that may inspire other people doing acts of kindness. And then that in turn will inspire others. So it becomes like a ripple effect. Yeah. So more and more acts of kindness will be done, benefiting more and more people. So those are just some of the benefits. But we can also experience it ourselves. When we have kindness and compassion in our minds and our hearts, we feel happier. You know, it's just a really good way to be. And so if we can have that feeling more often, we'll be a happier person, happier, healthier, able to get along better with others. Okay, so in the meditation, I'll ask you to first get in touch with a feeling of compassion, and then we'll just meditate on it and extend it to a few people that we bring to mind, just to make our minds more familiar, more habituated to that feeling of compassion. Okay, so once again, get into a good position for meditation, trying to keep your back straight, but at the same time, try to be as relaxed as possible. Try not to have tense shoulders or back or any other part of your body. Just try to be really relaxed, free of tension. So let's start by seeing if we can get in touch with that feeling of compassion in our own mind or our own heart. So an easy way to do that is to remember a time when you felt compassion, similar to the example I gave earlier, where you saw another person or another being, like an animal, who was suffering somehow, physically or mentally, emotionally, some kind of state of distress. And your heart was moved. Your heart went out to that person, to that being, and you felt compassion. So try to bring to mind such an experience and try to recreate that feeling of compassion in your mind, in your heart. In case you have difficulty doing that, remembering a time when you yourself felt compassion, another thing you could do is remember a time when you were the object of somebody else's compassion. Somebody else showed compassion to you. You were in need of help, and someone else noticed that and came over and offered to help you. Or even just noticing that you were in need of help and showed concern about that. So you might try remembering an experience like that, and that too can help us get in touch with that feeling of compassion. So if you're still not able to actually get the feeling of compassion in your mind or in your heart, don't worry. It is difficult to do it in a somewhat artificial situation like this. So we'll just continue with the meditation, and at some point that feeling might just pop up. You will feel it. And even if you don't, it's still a good thing to do, to try to meditate on compassion, try to get that feeling. So now we'll think of somebody we know and care about and see if we can generate the feeling of compassion for them and increase that feeling, grow that feeling. So bring to mind a person you care about. It could be a family member or a pet or a friend. And it's good if you can to imagine that person in front of you. Try to have a mental picture of that person or that being as if they're right there in front of you. And then contemplate them having some kind of problem. It doesn't have to be something huge, enormous, but even just a small problem, like they don't feel well, they have a headache or a tummy ache, or they're feeling sad or worried. And it's easy to understand because we already feel close to this person, we already care about this person, that they don't want to be unhappy, they don't want to suffer, just like we do. Basically the same as us. I don't want to suffer, and this person also doesn't want to suffer. And that we want them to not suffer. We want them to be free of this suffering. We want them to be peaceful and happy and not unhappy or in pain. So to increase that feeling, it's helpful to say to yourself some words like, may you be peaceful and calm. May you be free of your physical suffering. May you be free of your mental suffering. So those are just suggestions. You can say it in your own words, whatever words you feel most comfortable with. But just repeat words like that to yourself for a few minutes, focusing on this other person. let's try it with another person or another being. This time, think of someone you're not so close to, but you still care about them. You don't hate them. You don't have negative feelings towards them. Just someone else you know, but not very close. So it could be another family member that you're more distant from, or a neighbor, or a schoolmate. Just bring to mind one such person, and again, imagine them in front of you. And because we don't know this person so well, we may not be fully aware of what kind of problems they have, but we can just use our imagination. You probably sometimes feel physically unwell, aches, pains, discomfort in their body. And they probably feel emotionally unwell sometimes, feeling frightened or anxious, insecure, sad. Just try to imagine some forms of suffering or unhappiness this person is experiencing. And understand they're just like you and just like the last person you thought of. They don't want to suffer. They want to be free of this suffering. And then go the next step of wishing them to be free of their suffering. And even if that feeling doesn't come up in your mind, in your heart, you can say words to yourself, like the words we used before, focusing on this person and saying something like, "May you be peaceful, calm, free of your suffering." Just use whatever words you're most comfortable with and just repeat those to yourself a few times, focusing on the person, and try to have that feeling of compassion for them. And finally, let's just do something really daring and open up our heart to everyone, all people, all beings everywhere. May all beings everywhere be free of suffering, physical suffering. May they be free of mental suffering. May they all find peace and happiness. Okay.